Hey everyone, welcome back to the Southern Dogmen podcast. It's been a little bit of time, son's been playing ball, been doing stuff around the house, working out of town, and trying to run a dog. I ain't dropped one in a while, so that's on me, guys. I apologize. Uh, might have something in the works, might be having somebody that's going to come on, start helping me a little bit. Maybe we can start pumping some more episodes out. I'll keep y'all updated on that. But this afternoon, I got a good one lined up. Got an old buddy of mine who kind of helped me get into the dogs and everything, and we did a lot of running around together. When we thought we had a dog, times have changed since then. So, everyone, this is Christan Dollar. He's a Feist man in our local area, and wanted to have him on here and talk some of these dogs. How you doing this evening, buddy?
Oh, doing great, Blake. Thanks for having me. That's first off. That's what we got to say, and we just gonna get on here and talk a little bit about dogs. The main difference I wanted to talk with Blake about is the big controversy of what's the difference between Feist and cur dogs. We talk it every time we talk, and we talk differences and what his dog has done and what my dog has done, and it always boils down to, like Blake can attest to, of what's the difference between Feist and cur tree and dogs.
Yeah. Well, I can start this thing off by saying this. Me and you, we started hunting. I think it's 4.5 years ago.
That's right.
That's when I kind of started getting into this, and I remember, I think you had two different little Feist, and I was like, God, man, I don't see the joy in that. Neither one of them was really doing anything. Fast forward to last season, you got that little male dog, and he whooped my cur dog all day long. And I was like, hey, that is something that I would actually go to the woods with and get behind. So
that's right. I can't. I mean, I'll be straightforward with everybody. There ain't no kinda about it. I bought into this line breed, and the line bred is bred out of Todd Cole's in Arkansas's booster kennel. And I had been fooling with Feist. That's, just a cross between, old yard mutt and, just a cross between anything, just to try to make something work. And I'd hunted them, and I'd, every once in a while I'd come across a decent dog, but they weren't just reproducers. You got a line bred cur and you got a line bred Feist, to the nature that I'm in now, hunting with the ATFA and powered by booster. It's just, they're reproducers.
Mm-hmm.
And so it gets to the point where the yard mutt Feist gang and the yard mutt cur gang, if you're going to do any kind of competition hunting, whether it's, any of the cur associations or any of the Feist associations, I've realized in my 2 seasons of competition hunting that you've got to bring a tree dog to the table.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about that association you're hunting. Well, before we give a deep dive about that, introduce yourself, buddy. Let everybody know where you're from and kind of how you got your start and everything with it.
I'm Christan Dollar. I'm from Forsyth County, Georgia. Got a wife, 2 kids, and it's just bred into me. I started running dogs with my cousin Bobby Day and James Day as soon as I could take my hunter safety. So it was 10 or 11 years old, and been running dogs ever since. I've hung up all my other hunting except for turkey hunting to run dogs, and I'm just here pretty much. There just ain't nothing like getting behind a tree and dog, and I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I don't even care to shoot the game that I hunt, but it's just the dog work and just seeing a dog that was raised in your kennel or somebody else's kennel that you're close with and getting behind it, handling it, and treeing game.
Yep. 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 So kind of like we started this thing off, we met about 4 years ago, and you had already kind of been dabbling in your own stuff, had a couple of your own dogs and everything. I didn't have anything. Finally got something. And man, I felt like for a season, and I was sitting there reminiscing on it today. I feel like that whole year that me and you hunted together, I don't think we might have made 5 trees together. You know that?
If that, Blake, and see, and I remember, and when we started the season before, so backtrack to all that, I had some Feist, but I also had a senior cur.
You had that old taco dog.
That's right. And I texted my cousin earlier trying to get his pedigree because I thought I might mention a couple of dogs out of him, but I know he don't. I know for sure that way back he'd went back to some streak, and he had went back to some huntsmen, and so I knew what he went back too far, but I don't know what he was directly off of or grandparents off of, but the season before I had an extremely good season with him, and then that season me and you got up, Blake, he was on the downfall, and he actually passed away the next season after me and you got together. So he was just on the downfall, and I had him hunting him, trying to get my fight started, just running with a senior dog, and it just didn't work out.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know after that first year me and you hunting together, you had left where we had worked. I'd stuck around, but I'd fallen in love with these tree dogs. I stayed with the curs, and
that's right.
You ventured out into your Feist. That's when you started really trying to find you a good dog for hunts and everything, correct?
That's right, and it took me, I texted my cousin James. He's actually a top breeder in the ATFA, and I texted him, and I said, hey, when you have a started dog, you call me. Because I worked for the gas company. I was just getting started, so I was taking every bit of on-call I had, and I was just trying to get started with my career, and I said, I ain't got no time to fool with a puppy. I got to start myself off with a started dog. And so finally, my other cousin Bobby, that owns the female that I actually first time bred my male to, he was hunting him. And I kept seeing his Facebook post, and I said that most of our association, I won't say our association, but our kennel breeder, he breeds brindle dogs. All his line bred back to brindle dogs, and kept seeing my cousin Bobby posting a red and white dog, and every one of the curs I've run with has been a red cur. And so I got a soft spot for a red dog.
Now, is that's the dog that you're hunting now, correct?
That's right. And so finally, my cousin James texted me and said, if you want him, come get him. And he named his price, and that was it.
I know he's a heck of a dog. Like I said, we hunted together one time last year, and that little joker was treeing squirrels left and right. So let's kind of jump into his breeding and talk about his style of hunting, and kind of his tree style. 'Cause, I mean, he's a nice little tree dog, man. He wasn't, I see a lot of these curs, they're kind of real loose on the tree, ain't got a good mouth, but man, he's got a lot of tree power for such a little dog.
That's right, and it's funny you say that, Blake, because I've kind of struggled a little bit this year. He's kind of got a little bit sloppy on the tree, and it's been so hot in Georgia, and and what I hear from surrounding states, that I just ain't hunted him because of, you know, I gotta have him for competition season, so I can't risk him getting snake bit or getting severely dehydrated, or, you know, I've kind of tried to nurse him through summer, and so I just ain't hunted him as much as I did when I first had him.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I could call him treated, you know, the Feist, that's a main topic, you know, he don't go as deep. But I've had him in Mississippi when we got drawn to a spot that just wouldn't, you know, there wasn't no squirrels in that spot, and he finally piddled one up, and I caught him treed at 700 yards,
That's
and
got a
he don't,
pretty good mouth on a little dog to hear it at 700.
well, the cast and we could barely hear him, Blake. We could barely hear him, and he barked 4 or 5 times, and I said, y'all hear him? And they said, yeah, we hear him. And, you know, I called him treed. And that's, you know, last season I could call him treed from that far. And, I mean, I hunted the absolute fire out of him. I mean, it was 4 or 5 times a week, you know, Saturday morning, Saturday evening, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. And, you know, 1 or 2 times a week that I got off at a decent time and there was still daylight left.
I mean, that's what it takes with any of these dogs, but to make them competition worthy. But you know, I could be wrong. Might make a lot of these feist hunters mad, but I feel like that's pretty impressive that you're able to take a dog like that and you're able to hunt it that much without it getting worn down. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I mean, are you about able to do that with every feist, or?
I wouldn't say every Feist, Blake, but the ones that is carved into, he has no quit.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, late November, I was on a pleasure hunt. I knocked a squirrel out to him, and it fell beside an old kindling log, you know, with the sharp points on it. Well, he went to, you know, he don't really like a dead squirrel. He just likes to make sure it's dead. So, you know, he does his thing. He bounced over there and went to go grab it and make sure it was dead. And one of those kindling pieces stuck in the back of his throat.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize it. He just yelped when he went to go get the squirrel. And I thought, you know, he might have stepped on something. You know, I didn't know. So rock on, we go to the January hunt, which is held here in Georgia for the ATFA. And I'm just like, man, he just looks awful. And, you know, I got him on automatic feeders, so, you know, during the week, it's not every day that I'm going to check on my dogs. Because I know they're fed, I know they're watered, and so it's not every day. So I went down there and, you know, rock on. He had lost a bunch of weight. He just wasn't filled out. You can see his hip bones. You can see his ribs pretty good. And I'm like, dang, he's just looking rough. So I ended up taking him to the vet, and they're like, yeah, there's a spot on the back of his throat, and they cauterized it and, you know, sent him on. Well, I nursed him back to health by February, which was Mississippi, and we hunted Mississippi, and the place that we're hunting, the ATFA actually moved the hunt to northeast Mississippi this year, and there just wasn't no squirrels where we were hunting, and everybody was grubbing up, or you'd get in a holler of squirrels, and somebody'd do good, but the other cast would, you know, they'd have 125 plus points and might have 250 circle, if that. So, rock on to LBL. I got Drew. I was Drew with, I just drew a bad cast and a bad area. I mean, to be honest, competition hunting, you got to have a good dog, but you also got to have a little luck on your side. So I drew bad cast and bad area, and I wouldn't say bad cast. All the members of the ATFA are good people and good souls. It's just when you get certain dogs hunting with other dogs, it just sometimes it don't mix, and you know you can't really have that if you're looking for a competition dog, because you got to have a competition dog hunt with. It don't matter what dog it is, where you at, or weather conditions. It's still got to put squirrels up the tree.
Mm-hmm.
And so rock on. We hunt LBL. I had some plus points, and it just wasn't nothing to land me on the table or nothing, and still ain't landed me on the table.
Now, you keep mentioning this organization. What's the name of it?
It's American Tree and Feist Association.
All right. Now, break, and you've tried to explain this, but I want you to explain it out here in podcast world. Explain how these hunts kind of work. It's not like how I go up and it's an elimination hunt, right?
So this is what happens. We have what we call a regional hunt and a rally hunt.
Uh-huh.
So the regional hunt and all the hunts are show up at your own pleasure. We ain't gotta. I was listening to a USDC, I think it is, right, Blake? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir.
USDC. I was listening to a USDC podcast on the way home, and they were talking about like nine dog hunts or 9-dog. I don't know what they're talking about, but what I was hearing is that you pretty much had to earn your spot for the world hunt.
Yes. There are some organizations that's like that, whether you got to be like NSD, I think you got to hit 4 hunts to be able to get your entry to the world hunt. I think USDC, you got to win a cast, but UMCA and OMCBA, you can just show up as long as your dog is registered.
So that's us. If it's registered, it makes height and it makes weight.
So y'all got y'all got a height and a weight standard.
That's right. So 30 pounds both male and female, and then it's 18 inches high on males and 17 and a half on females.
Okay.
So, the way we do is, you show up and say, like in Missouri, I'm pretty sure that all the, senior members, it was the most dogs we ever had. We had 25 dogs in Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And so dogs show up, you pay your entry fee, and it was a regional hunt. So that entails that Saturday morning we had 5 dogs that would place and 1 winner, and then Saturday evening we'd had 5 dogs that would place and 1 winner. So in all reality, it just goes back to, champion points, and now we've got a new dog of the year program going on, and it just entails different things, but essentially you could win Saturday morning and Saturday evening.
But you're not. Is it kind of all right? How many dogs are going out in the woods with you? 3.
So we have 3 dog casts, and if there's not enough, if it's not a, odd number to have, just say 6 3-dog casts, we have what's called a lucky dog.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll be a 2-dog cast and then a lucky dog. You just got to have an extra judge that's a member.
Okay. Now,
so like we had 25 dogs, and we had I don't know the math on it. I don't know how many exact casts we had, but we had two lucky dog casts Saturday morning.
Okay. Now, y'all aren't y'all aren't doing multiple casts and eliminating dogs like these other registries. Like, say I'm on a cast, I win my cast, I go on to the second round. All right. If I win my second round, I go on to the finales. Y'all aren't doing that. You're kind of taking your morning scores, and I guess the dog that scores the best is the winner, and then places
That's
fall
right.
behind. Okay. See, we have some hunts like that. We just call them single rounds, and there may be 12 dogs there, so you may have 4 casts. It's one round. You're going to take the highest placing dog, and that's going to be your winner. And then it usually
That's
falls
right.
beside cast winners after that.
That's right. And so honestly, the way the ATFA works and the way we do our cast and stuff, you could lose your cast but be third place in the hunt. So just say you draw a 3-dog cast. First dog has 825 plus points and whatever circle. Circle's pretty much in the ATFA, it's just a tiebreaker. Just to say, the second dog in your cast had 825 plus points, but had 300 circle, and the first dog had 500 circle. And then you come in with 550 plus and 200 circle. Mm-hmm. Well, the other cast, if they ain't got over 500 plus and 200 circle, you're in third place, and you were dead last in your cast.
Even though that other dog won the cast that it was on?
That's right.
Man, that's wild to me. That's wild.
It pretty much it goes up on pretty much it's whichever dog had the most points is the winner.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do y'all get into any controversies? Like, all right, say my dog's in second place, and I was on the winning dog's cast. All right, this other cast comes in. He won his cast, but my dog beat him by a circle tree. Does that not cause any rigmarole or anything? Because, I mean, heck, they're in a different hunt location. It's not like they're hunting the same woods. I mean, do y'all kind of have any issues or anything?
So I've thought about that myself, Blake, and I don't hardly mention it to anybody else because sometimes, good as well any other competition hunter or
sometimes
pleasure hunter.
Sometimes you just don't get put in squirrels.
That's right. And so I thought myself going into it, I'm like, well, if I get drawn to a spot that ain't got no squirrels, you can't show the full potential of the dog. He's going to grub one up, and he might have 250 plus, but then another dog at the same level or to the same ability of your dog went to a spot with squirrels, and he's got 650 plus points. Mm-hmm. And so we don't have any disagreement because the way the ATFA is, we're not based on. I know a lot of clubs, if you ain't handling right, you might get in trouble just because calling you dog treat or.
Yeah, might take a minus.
That's right. Just from a handler aspect, our club is mainly focused on the dog. Mm-hmm. So, in all reality, your dog should be able to go anywhere and at least have circle trees and find a couple squirrels. It don't matter where you at, what state you in, what weather conditions. If you have a tree and squirrel dog, it should be able to find squirrels anywhere and maybe even make a couple slick trees.
Yep. Them circle trees. We don't call them slick trees here.
Well, in the pleasure world is slick trees.
Oh yeah.
In the competition world is circle trees.
Well, so y'all have y'all's morning rounds. You dogs move on. I mean, you go into the afternoons, is a lot of the time is it the same dogs that's kind of winning and placing the same in the afternoons, or is it totally kind of different scenarios then?
So it honestly just depends, Blake, because like, so we got some boys from Tennessee, and it's shout out to the Crossfire Kennels. That's the name of their kennels and the dogs line bred that they hunt. There was a dog champion out Saturday morning that was from Crossfire Kennels, and we only had one booster dog on the table Saturday morning, and then we had 3 booster dogs on the table Saturday evening.
Now,
it ain't the same dog.
Mm-hmm. Now, you saying booster, that's your line of dogs that you're hunting, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
And so our association and the line bred is so big that there's just so many dogs from each kennel show up to the ATFA.
Mm-hmm. And it's not like that anywhere with any organization.
That's right. If you got a dog that is going to register for the OMBCA, that's going to be a dog that shows up, and it might be line bred directly out of a top breeder there.
Mm-hmm.
It just and like I was talking to my cousin Bobby the other night, just talking about this cross we just made, and I said, there's no dog in our association that you would want to kick to the curb and just say, oh, that ain't a competition dog. It's extremely high competition when you go to these hunts.
Mm-hmm. Now, do y'all have any kind of big world hunt? I know you was talking about regionals. Do y'all have a big world hunt every year and stuff?
We don't, because everything that this association goes back to is just dogs and hunting.
Okay. Well, have you loaded your dog up and hunted any other organizations or anything? Or are you mainly just sticking with this one?
I haven't, but as of now, he's cross-registered ATFA and NKC.
Mm-hmm.
And I've thought about hunting some NKC hunts, but I also think that he would register other money hunts. I haven't dabbled in it just because I'm trying to champion him ATFA before I do anything else. Because he turns 4 at the end of this month, so honestly, he's just getting to his prime years.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to champion him ATFA. That everybody from my aspect hunts before I dabble into anything else. But I'm not opposed to it. Some people are totally opposed to it because once you get money involved, and just from the outsiders looking in, once you get money involved, there's a lot more on the line, and so a lot of people steer totally clear from it, but I'm not opposed to doing it. I just have to find my groove and my rhythm.
I understand that. Now, what's it take for you to champion a dog out? Do y'all just have a basic champion, or do y'all have like a grand champion, supreme champion, Hall of Fame? Do y'all have all of that?
So I'm don't hold me to it, and if somebody listens from the ATFA, call me and correct me. But I'm pretty sure there's a grand champion in ATFA. I'm not exactly sure how it works, but I know. So most of our hunts are Saturdays, and they'll hold a champion cast Fridays. So, it takes 2 wins in different states to champion your dog, plus the champion points.
Mm-hmm.
So, you collect champions points from, placing and the scores from your cast. And so you got to have champion points plus the 2 wins to champion your dogs. And it's got to be in different states. So just say, like in March, we go to LBL, Land Between the Lakes. I could win I could win, both morning and the evening if it was a regional hunt, and that'd be my 2 wins, but it has to be in different states.
Man, that's wild. That is wild. Now, does that hurt a lot of people that they have to travel to different states to get those wins? I mean, are you kind of seeing the same people at every event?
You see most of the same people, but it does in all reality. I didn't think I was going to make Missouri just because I was trying to make Arkansas, and I don't know if I had enough time off, so that takes a good dog out of the race for it, just because, travel expenses and, finding a place to stay, getting off of work, time hunting, because, I'm not bringing my dog if he's looking shabby, or if me going out pleasure hunting, if he ain't hunting to his fullest potential, I might not even bring him.
Yep.
And so it just depends, but majority you see the core members there, but it does. Like we were missing some people that's got jam up dogs, just like my cousin James. He didn't make it. He's got a new grandbaby, and he was building a garage that was needing a roof put on it for the rain, and he's got the dog in his kennel that he told me he wouldn't take $8,000 for.
Yeah. And it sounds like y'all got some good things and some bad things, but I'm glad you just got a good organization going on.
Oh, the fellowship and the hunting, I ain't bashing on no other organization, because, like I said, I haven't dabbled in anything else competition-wise, but it's just hard to beat the fellowship, and it just leans more towards the dog than the handler.
Mm-hmm. So what's some of the upcoming events y'all have left? I mean, it's kind of, I guess it's the start of y'all's season, right? So,
That's right. So Missouri was our first hunt of the year. And so in November, the end of November, we're going to Tennessee. December, we'll be in Arkansas. January, we'll be in Georgia. February, we'll be in Mississippi. And March, we'll be at LBL in Kentucky.
So y'all got to hunt about once a month then.
That's right. From October to March, we have a hunt once a month.
Okay. All right. Well, if there's another organization you're looking at, I think Georgia hosts a couple Feist hunts with the NKC, and I know NSD has got some Feist hunts as well.
Oh yeah, no doubt, and like I said, once I champion him ATFA, other than the champion hunts, and like I said, they changed the dog of the year. So once before, and they knew it was a problem, they just couldn't figure out how to change it. Once before, when you championed your dog out in the ATFA, he couldn't hunt against registered dogs.
Yep.
So that pretty much finished him if you was going to hunt the ATFA. But now we're going to have a 9-dog hunt on Sunday after LBL in Kentucky. So the way to punch your ticket to that is, if you champion your dog during that season, you have an automatic punch ticket to the 9-dog hunt of the year, or the dog of the year hunt. So we've already got 2 punch tickets. Marty Brown from Crossfire Kennels, he championed out Crossfire Cowboy Saturday morning, and Todd Cole's our breeder, championed out Peggy Sue Saturday evening in Missouri. So they've already got a punch ticket.
All right, hold on.
So,
let me do some math real quick. So y'all got October, November, December, January, and February.
That's right. In March too, because we'll have a regional hunt Friday, so that could be your second win, and then we'll have a rally hunt Saturday in Kentucky. That could be your second win.
Well, you got that 6 hunts, that how does that not make 12 champion dogs if they're only taking 9? Because
Because
you got 2 hunts a day, right?
no, that's where it separates. The regionals, one day is 2 separate hunts, but the rally hunts are a combined total to win the hunt.
Oh, so it's just a single hunt event.
That's right.
Okay, I got you. I got a little confused there. I was like, man, that's
right.
leaving 3 dogs out.
And see, that would be the case. That would be the case if they were all regional hunts and you had a winner in the morning and a winner in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
But see, I'm pretty sure this year that 3 hunts are regional and 3 hunts are rally. So that's what separates it.
Now, do they not let any past champion dogs come in to hunt that event or anything?
So you can't hunt that event, but you're gonna be in the race for hunting the dog of the year.
Okay, I got you.
And see, that's what there was a lot of controversy in. Just say my dog won the rally hunt in Kentucky that year before, and then he come in Missouri and won, and he was championed out on the first morning of the season, and he couldn't hunt no more. So then if you ain't got nothing else in your kennel, you ain't got nothing to hunt. So that's when they changed the dog of the year and said, well, he can't hunt against the registered dogs during the season, but we're going to make a dog of the year hunt, and he'll be able to hunt that hunt.
That man, that's a lot of confusing stuff right there, boy.
Man, it's a lot, Blake, and you just got to read up on it and get involved in it, and it's just a lot of information in a lot of ways, a lot of different ways to go about it.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's do a little deep dive on your dog. You know, kind of talk about his breeding, talk his tree style. You know, I seen the dog go last year. I enjoyed going with the dog. He really impressed me. Very accurate little thing. I mean, I think that dog treed 2 times that Sunday morning we went that he didn't have a squirrel. Accurate little dog.
That's right. I think if you was in the competition style, if I can remember correctly, see, we scored first tree plus points 125, and that morning I'd have had 625 plus points if it was competition style. That's 5 squirrels that I seen, and then I might have had 250 circle, whatever it was. I don't remember exactly because like I said, we was pleasure hunting. I wasn't really keeping track. I was just trying to kill squirrels to both dogs.
Man, all I know is that little joker, boy, he whooped our butt that morning.
So I wouldn't say that, Blake. I wouldn't say that exactly because there was, and like you said, you say that, and that was one of the shabbiest hunts that I had with him that season.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, and see, that's where it goes into not saying that I didn't see squirrels and we didn't kill squirrels, but just the way he was treeing, how fast he was getting hooked and treed, and the yardage. Because, I mean, at some point, your dog was treed in at 600, and he was treed in at 300, and I hardly ever treat him in at 300.
Yeah.
So his sir side is a dog named Rourke's Jr. I haven't quite figured out where that dog's at, and I'd like to know where that dog was at, but I just ain't took a deep dive in it. And then you got on his dame side a dog named Cole's Raspberry. So that goes back to Todd Cole's line bred dog. And then on his grandpa's side, or on his grandparents' side, on the sir side, is a dog named Cole's Rambo and Cole's Roxy. This is where it starts getting to the good stuff. You got a dog now on his dame side. Grandparents is Cole's Toby, which is now a ATFA champion in Cole's Lake.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of his, going back to it, for the exception of one dog, or no, two dogs, now that I'm looking at his pedigree, is all Cole's bred. You got Cole's Squirrel Champion Spaz, you got Cole's Camo, you got Cole's Rock, you got Cole's Sis, you got Cole's Iron Fork Prince, and then you got this dog, I don't know if Todd Cole's owned him, but it's Iron Fork Ellie Mae, and then you got Cole's Creek Booyah, and you got Coon Creek Miley. So my dog is directly line bred, except for a couple exceptions back to Cole's Booster.
Okay.
That started Todd Cole's kennel.
Mm-hmm. Now I have heard some stuff, on some podcasts. I've heard a little bit of talk about the Booster dog.
That's right.
So, like I said, man, you got a heck of a little dog there. I hope we can get together and we can go again this year.
Oh, no doubt, Blake. We're going to, no doubt. And I got a little Jip here I think she turned a year old the first of the year, and so she's probably, she's 17, 18 months old, and to no fault of my cousin's own, he works for a living. He had a recent, new grandbaby and had other dogs he was hunting in the ATFA, and she kind of sat in the kennel. But she's out of dogs that now are in the race for Dog of the Year or expected to be in the race for Dog of the Year. So, I got high expectations for her. She's directly out of my dog's grandpa, Cole's Toby. Like I said, he's Squirrel Champion in the ATFA, and a dog called Cole's May, which is one of my good buddies in the ATFA. He owns her and handles her, and she's expected to be in that Dog of the Year race, and that's Cole's May, owned by Brady Purifoy. If I said his name wrong, he'll call me if he hears this podcast and tell me I was wrong.
Well, have you thought about making that cross with that little female? So maybe toward the end of the season or anything like that?
So I thought about it, and I own my little Jip, but my cousin Johnny, or James, I call him Johnny. That's his nickname. All our family members have nicknames, and James, he's got breeding rights to her, so we're going to see what she does by the end of the year, and then if she's doing what we expect her to do, she'll be crossed to Roscoe.
Okay. I understand that. Well, you may have to keep me in mind for that. Now, I'm a cur dog man, but I like that little Feist you got. And I might need me a good little pleasure dog just to get out and go hunt with the kids and stuff.
Oh, well, it'll be more than a pleasure dog, Blake, but it'll tree you some squirrels for sure.
That's what I'm looking for. I keep saying, man, I'm going to have to try to get me a pleasure dog. I'm going to have to get something that's going to hunt a little closer,
That's my thing, too, is you know what? Just keep on going with what you was just saying, Blake.
I right now, with the way my static dog hunts, I don't even want to take my kids with it, or my son and my nephew. Our terrain up here. A dog make one wrong turn, it's a hellhole.
It's over with.
Yeah, I give me a little old Feist. It's only going to bebop through there, 100, 200 yards. That's what I'm kind of looking for.
And see, that's what I wanted to mention too. So, majority of what got me into it was cur dogs.
Mm-hmm.
And you're hooked at 700 yards, and you might go over 3 ridges that you would have never went over in your life, but that dog's treed in, treed hard, and you know the squirrel's there just by handling your dog.
Yep.
Okay, so you know just as well as I do, Blake, where we come from, it might take you 25 minutes to get to the tree.
Yep.
So what sets these dogs off more to me is that when I was hunting that cur, he was treed in at 600 yards. These little dogs might tree. You might not see the meat every time, but you're going to see it once or twice in between that tree.
Mm-hmm.
My dog's hooking and treeing at 125 yards just about every time. When I leash him to the tree pleasure hunting, I cut him again, he's treed in less than 300 yards every time I recut. So it's just, I see more squirrel, or I see more, I wouldn't say I see more squirrels. Because, you know, that dog might be, a cur dog might be hooked in at 600 yards every time and see every squirrel. But the way my dog trees is I might be treed in at 100 yards every time and see the squirrel. And I might knock out 6 or 7 before 8 o'clock and just leash him up and go back to the truck, and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Just from the wind and power. And he uses all his senses and ain't got no quit, you know. When he trees, he's treed on smell. He'll tree. I'll call him treed. But by the time I make it to the tree, he might be backed up 5 or 10 feet off the tree, looking up.
Watching that squirrel.
Changing his bark, trying to get that squirrel to move. And if he sees it move, he's going to timber it as far as that squirrel goes. Me and my wife were hunting 2 weekends ago, and I caught him treed. He fell treed, just treed as hard as you could off the smell. And I know the difference in his bark. He was treating it off the smell. And I said, well, let's ease to him. He was probably 175 yards, probably. We was, you know, it's hot and squirrels ain't getting on the ground. So, you know, he was kindly winding it and grubbing it up. But he fell treed. I called him treed, and we was easing over there, and we got about 75 yards, and I looked back at her and I said, just go my direction, just listen to Roscoe and just follow me. He had fell timbered, and I said, if I don't get over here to this squirrel, we're going to lose it. He was timbering it, barking his head off, timbering it. I got to it. I finally seen the squirrel. He timbered that squirrel probably 125 yards until it got in the hole. And that's just, like, to me, 125 yards timbering a squirrel, keeping it in the treetop, not in the hole, just timbering it and finally treeing it on a hollow tree. It was just impressive to me, because he was treed in at probably, like I said, 175 yards, and I ended up 300, 325, 350 maybe from where he was initially treed. Just staying with it.
Well, it sounds like that little joker's got plenty of heart and determination, and I feel like it don't matter if it's a Feist, a tree and cur, a regular cur. If you got the heart and the determination, you're going to have something nice.
That's right, Blake. And I'm not opposed to any breed of them. If they treat me squirrels and they make me happy, it don't matter what kind of dog it is. If they're treating squirrels and making me happy, I'm fine with it.
Well, buddy, before we get off here, I want to say I thank you. You know, I know we don't get to chit chat as much as we used to, but you know, like I said, I was sitting out on the back porch yesterday, and I was like, man, I'm thankful for you helping me get into this. You made my passion burn more than what it already was. Like I said, you know, I know we hunted the wheels off some crappy dogs for a full season. But
Yeah,
buddy,
that-
I'm thankful for you, and I'm thankful you stuck around with me.
Oh, no doubt, Blake, and I'm thankful for you as well, and we'll get up. And I know you told me last time you might take your little pleasure cur with you, and you want to bring your competition dog, but I want you to bring the heat.
Well, I ain't got nothing in the kennel right now other than static. I got a little young pup I'm starting. She's ready to go. I'm just trying to wait for a good frost to make sure that all the rattlesnakes and stuff's put up. Cause she's one of them little bitty dogs, boy. She gets hit by. Do what?
And it's raining too, Blake. We're desperate for some rain.
Yeah, you walk across the front yard right now, it ain't nothing but a dust bowl.
That's what I'm saying. And see, I'll say this last thing, and we can get off here. But the way my dog trees, if there ain't sin on the ground, he's got a windy nose. But if there ain't sin on the ground, he ain't confident.
Mm-hmm.
And this dry spell has just hurt him tremendously.
Yep. It's bad. It ain't affecting just him. It's affecting everything at the moment, buddy. Don't think it's just yours.
I know it, Blake. I know it, and I've seen it. And then there's dogs that's all they do is wind squirrels, and they're treeing the fire out of them. Just like I didn't mention earlier, but I drew out with Todd Cole's, our breeder, Saturday evening in Missouri, and his dog was just on fire. She had over 2,000 combined points with circle trees and plus trees. She had like 15 first trees, and she just went on a roll. So it like you said, it's affecting everybody, but then there's some dogs that are thriving.
Yep. And it's like that with everything, buddy. It's just, it's our leaves are falling. If we could get a really, really good heavy rain and then a day of good 15, 20 mile an hour winds, we'd notice a big, big difference.
And I'm praying for it, Blake. I hope it comes
you and me both.
I hope it comes Friday morning, because I'm gonna be in the woods all weekend this weekend.
Yeah, we got a OMCBA state hunt that it starts Friday evening, so I'm hoping for a little cooler weather. My dog don't really take to the heat too well, but we gonna go Friday evening and see if we can make it into Saturday morning. So,
and good luck to everybody that hunts any other association. I hope for all treeing dogs and all good luck to everybody.
Yeah. Well, buddy, I appreciate you being on here. I hope we get to meet up soon and go do a little bit of hunting, brother. So
that's right, Blake. You just holler at me anytime. You know where I live. You know my phone number, and I'm ready.
All right, buddy. Well, you enjoy your evening. I appreciate you coming on.
Same to you, Blake. I appreciate it.
See you, buddy.
See you.